probably have chocolate on my teeth. Like just got done.
That's good.
Make people jealous.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
So this is
Brown stuff on my teeth will definitely make people jealous. I'm sure that's what they'll be thinking. Wow, I wish I had that.
Mm-hmm. The milk chocolate. That was good.
They'll be
actually.
like, you're a little too into Viome. Got into their samples. Brown
Oh,
stuff
that-
all over my teeth.
it's the wrong kind of sample, Mandy.
Welcome to another episode of Moonshots. As you know, this is the weekly episode where we bring you the amazing guests who have the great moonshot and they give you tremendous advice how to achieve their moonshot. This week is going to be slightly different. This week, I'm going to go out and actually answer your questions, the things that are on top of your mind. So if you think of anything that you think we haven't talked about and there is a question that actually you want me to answer for you, just go ahead and send a comment on YouTube or on Instagram or iTunes. Any place you're watching this, just leave us a comment and hopefully the next week or the week after, I'll be answering your questions. So, Mandy, what are the things that people on people's mind this week?
So we have some people who are very interested in the moon this week. And we also have some interesting Instagram questions as well. Some I don't think you've mentioned yet. So I'm looking forward to stumbling through their usernames.
Okay.
and getting these questions answered for your wonderful listeners. MAITY,
Okay.
apparently their name, on YouTube asked how to create new ideas for starting a new business and how to win in a competitive market. And please tell us more about business competition also. Thank you for your videos. Those are really helpful. Please upload more videos on YouTube. Thanks a lot.
Okay. So there are lots of questions here. Number one is that how do you go out and come up with an idea for a business? Number two, I think the person is asking, how do you really compete when there are other people trying to do the same things, right? Mm-hmm. So I think they're very similar. So it's not about the idea that actually matters. What really matters is how you execute on the ideas. You could be doing exactly the same thing that 100 other people are doing. You just got to do it differently. And the difference can be better. So you can take a commodity product that maybe there are lots of people are doing it. And the reason lots of people are doing it, because there is a demand for it. So you don't have to wonder, do people really want it? So the more people are doing it, that means there is a tremendous demand for that product. All you have to do is make it better. And the better could be just something different because everyone likes something different. So maybe you can take it to the niche market. So you can take a product that's already out there and you can cater it, for example, to women. You can cater it to a different part of the society, or you can take the same product to a different industry altogether. So you just by making something different, you can actually create a product that some people will find it better. And that could be how you start creating a new business.
Awesome. I love that. So creating new business, what I'm understanding is find a big market and then do it differently or do it better.
Yes.
Differently or better. Okay, cool. That's a great, useful tip. Thank you. One of these wonderful names again. Not a name, a username. This is what people choose apparently. Yatin Dahaya on Instagram said, I am so confused what I do. I have so many ideas, but I have so much passion in my heart, but I don't know how to decide to choose my boat. Basically, he's feeling like he's, please help me. I need freedom from my mind and everything.
Well, so here's a person who loves everything they see, and they have millions of ideas and they got passionate about every idea. So go back to the basic rule. Passion is for the losers. Mm-hmm. Which one of these ideas that you're absolutely obsessed with? What is one thing that you go to sleep thinking about and the same thing that you wake up thinking about? And that's the idea that you should be pursuing. Ask yourself, if you had everything in your life, what would you do? And if that's what you're doing today, is what's going to allow you to get everything else you want in your life. Mm-hmm. If you really have millions of ideas that you're really passionate about, what it really tells me is you really have no idea and you're really not passionate about anything, right? Because to me, to get obsessed with something, it consumes you. you don't have time for anything else. So the fact you have time to keep thinking of an idea, that means you're not obsessed with anything yet. So
Right.
find your obsession, and that's what you should be pursuing.
I love that. And that's really important because a lot of people, and I can imagine there are a lot of people out there who say, well, I really like playing Pokemon, or I really like playing Nintendo, or I'm passionate about these things, or even I'm passionate about knitting.
Yeah.
But the thing is that something that they are obsessed with, that they're so obsessed with that they can then turn into, how is this going to change the world? How is this going to impact 1 billion people? How can I make this do that? I want to bring up another thing, and just a question of mine, if you don't mind. You say find the thing that you would be willing to die for, and then live for it.
Yes.
But you've also said, what if you,
God forbid you're successful
Right.
at it, would you actually move the needle? Would you actually help 1 billion people? That means do something that actually has a potential to change the way people live their lives.
I remembered what it was. What if you had everything you want? What would you do?
Yes.
And I think, though, that there's a lot of people in the world, and these may not be the people who are asking the questions, but there's a lot of people in the world who, and this struck me actually just this weekend, that there's just all these people who are going about their life in such a way that they're just trying to get done with what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're just trying to get done with it, but they don't know what that thing is that they would do once they're done, except relax from all the things that they were doing. This is kind of why you have basically the idea of retirement and people planning for retirement. It seems like people plan for retirement every week, and their retirement is the Friday, through Monday or through Sunday.
And honestly,
They're working to shut off. They're working to be done.
and that to some extent makes me sad that if you are living 70-80% of your life that you are so miserable with, that you really need time to get away from it so you can get back to the same misery all over again.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that's the time you should actually quit and do something different.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I look at the stuff is, when you wake up in the morning and you don't jump out of the bed with joy for the things you're going to be doing that day, you actually are doing something totally wrong. Right? So find something that you find a tremendous joy in, so you don't need a break from it, right? So for me, I do things that I love. That to me is my retirement. And retirement to me meant is only doing things you love, and don't do the things that you don't love, and do them 7 days a week, 24/7.
Because you won't want to quit.
You don't want to quit, right? And I really believe I am on this mission to make illness optional. It consumes me. I work 18-hour days, 7 days a week, and I just don't feel tired.
And you won't take a weekend because you're not done. You're not at the finish line yet.
But to me, a weekend is nothing but the weekdays that start with the letter S. And
Yeah.
that's all it is.
Right. That's a good point. So basically, it's about, if you feel like you're working for the weekend or like you're working for retirement, then you're not working in your
things-
obsession on purpose.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it means find the purpose that essentially gets rid of the idea of a weekend. You want to do them, and your weekdays are your weekends.
Yeah. Okay. And do you think that would apply to everybody in the world? Do you think everybody should have that mindset? Or do you think that there will always be people who will be working for the weekend?
I know people say, hey, you have money and you can go, of course, think about the things you want to work on. We have to feed the family. And what people forget is that is what will allow you to not feed the family just today, but tomorrow and going forward. When you find your true obsession, you become so good at it. It actually is the way you create a tremendous wealth for yourself that allows you to feed your family going forward. Because when you live on day to day and you're doing things you don't enjoy, you end up just simply surviving rather than thriving.
And it's not just cheating yourself when you don't go after your dreams or after what you're really obsessed about. It's really cheating the world.
That's right.
Because the only way that you're going to be as good as you can for the world and give the most that you can to the world is if you're doing as much as you can. And the only way you're going to do as much as you can and push to that limit of like, I'm going to die from all this work, and like staying up all night is when you're working on something you love. And so it's really not only your family, because a lot of people will say, well, I'm sacrificing my personal dreams so I can feed my family. No, you're you're sacrificing the world. You're sacrificing your family's happiness. You're sacrificing everything that you could give to it by just, settling for this 9 to 5 that you hate.
And my point is, when you hate the things you're doing, when you come back home, what happens? That hatefulness actually you bring back home. Guess what happens? Your kids notice it, your spouse notices it, and you may think actually now you're home. Point is, if you hate what you're doing, everyone around you will notice that. If you love what you're doing, people find joy in being with you.
That hatred also gets normalized, and then it becomes something that your children see or your family sees or whoever you're around and says, well, that must be normal. And then it spreads, and it's like, well, I guess this is how we are. So you're so right. It's so important for even just those listening to create a great example out in the world so we can kind of try and combat that and inspire more people to follow their moonshot. I'm going to read another one because we have many, and I've only gotten through 2 because I'm going off on my own questions.
That's okay, Mandy.
Mr. Gilpin on YouTube says, thanks a ton for answering my question about equity splits. I love it. As a follow-up question about equity, I think as a new entrepreneur, it is difficult to know the true equity amount we should give certain types of people. Being young and without much workplace experience, it is hard to know what a quality person that deserves equity looks like. For young entrepreneurs to build moonshots and build super teams, I think helping people know the value of each type of individual in the equity split would be super useful for many. For example, what a president/COO would get versus a master technician versus a board member, etc. Or maybe this information already exists in a course that you know of or something.
Yeah, I mean, this information is widely available. I mean, you can obviously Google it, and it's not just the CEO you should give X% of the company, or the president you give Y% of the company.
Doesn't it?
It depends on multiple things. It depends on where you are in the life cycle of the company, how badly you need the person, how the person that you're talking to, how it fits into what you're trying to do, how compatible they are to be working with you. So in some sense, sometimes you end up overpaying for the right person who exactly fits the need that you have today, person you believe is going to help you make the pie bigger. So I think I want to just bring up one concept that I think most people have very difficult time understanding, especially the young entrepreneurs. When you start a company, you have this small pie, and you think that everyone that you are hiring is taking from the piece of that pie. Or I have this pie that I own 100% of it.
Scarcity.
I own 100% of this pie. If I hire people, they're going to take 10% for this, 2% for this, 5% for this. I'm going to be only left with a smaller piece. What you really need to be thinking is the people who you are hiring, are they going to be actually making the pie substantially bigger for you? So if you hire the people who even take half of the equity, but now the pie that they're helping you create is 10x bigger, now you actually have now 5 times more than what you had before. Right? So the thinking is the dilution doesn't happen because you gave the equity to someone. Dilution happens because you hired the person who is creating less value than they actually took. So if the person is accretive, that means they're adding more value to make the pie bigger than what they took, then that person is contributing to you, not taking away from you.
That is fantastic. And that even just changed my mindset about it. That wonderful information. I have another question, which is House of the Hellshire.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay.
That is it's like a movie. Why do you think it's necessary for humans to now go populate space?
I know a lot of people believe that, there are so many problems on our own planet Earth. Why go outside? And what people don't realize is that, give or take 9 billion of us are living on a single spacecraft we call the planet Earth, and our spacecraft is flying up in this space. Now imagine if our spacecraft gets damaged, if we get hit by an asteroid, or we are quite capable people, we manage to damage our own spacecraft. Our whole species, the 9 billion of us, will all die. Right? So if we do not live find a way to survive on other planets, Moon, Mars, and beyond, then I think the future of humanity is in danger, not just the future of our planet. Our planet may actually survive.
It will survive.
And it's very likely it will survive because it did survive in the past. If you go back and look at the
It
stuff.
survived through asteroids, through
Or worse.
Oh,
I mean,
way worse.
In
being
early
hit
days,
by the moon.
or it created the
Yeah.
moon, right? So in fact, in the early days of our spacecraft of planet Earth, it was hit by a massive body, planetary body, and it separated the piece of the
Yep.
Earth, and that became the moon, right? So my point is, our planet would do
It just
fine.
splits apart if needed. We'll just get another moon.
Right. But point is, when asteroid hit our planet 65 million years ago, all the dinosaurs died, but the planet did just fine. In fact, planet did so fine, it created humans. And even if we get the whole human species may completely disappear, for all we know, it would go ahead and create superhumans next, right? Right. So I really think if you want to save the humanity from potential extinction, we really have to find a way to live on multiple planets so we as a species could survive.
I love that answer. I think that'll give a lot of clarity. This is just a great name, so that's why I'm choosing this question. Doingster1002 on YouTube says, "Hello, Naveen. Question: what concrete steps does one take to develop an abundance mindset?"
Wow. So to create an abundance mindset, first thing is you have to get rid of the scarcity mindset, right? So the scarcity mindset always comes is there is a scarcity of things, and that's what creates value. So you say, I am going to own a building because there is scarcity of land, there is scarcity of the things that are there. Or I'm going to buy X and I'm going to pay for it because there is a scarcity of that, and that creates value. Now, what is one thing that we don't pay for every day and we use it every day? Air, right? Why is that? Because we all have concluded there is abundance of air, there is abundance of oxygen. It is so much that all of us can use as much as we want. In fact, you can even take a deep breath and you don't upset the person next to you and say, wait a sec, breathing is okay. You just took way too much.
Yeah.
You're taking my oxygen now. We don't. See, and you're not even upset yet.
No.
But if I took
Not yet.
not yet. But my point is, if anything else I took off you, you're going to say, oh, that's mine. So why is it that we start to believe that air is actually doesn't have value? Because it is fundamentally is in abundance, and we believe in it. So the day we start to believe something in abundance, it loses value, right? The things that are actually abundant, but we still hoard it to ourselves, which is, for example, love. Love could be abundant. It doesn't mean if I love you enough that somehow I'm now depleted with that love. I can't love someone else now. Right? But the fact is, it is so much that we could create an abundance of love, and then we could love every single person that we interact with, right? So the person who you run into, a homeless person, all you have to do is not give them the money. Sit down with them, give them 5 minutes of your time.
Right.
Listen to their story, and give them nothing but understanding and love. And which is what they probably need, right? So my point is, we start to believe the things that have value. So the way to create the abundance mindset is to start believing the things that you believe are not abundant. How do you create abundance of them, right? So for example, what is it that we fight over? We fight over land, we fight over water, we fight over energy. And amazing thing is, every 90 minutes, more energy falls on the planet Earth than we use in the whole year. It can be so much abundant that the energy could potentially be the next air. That means available to anyone for free. And when you have abundant energy, you will have abundant water, because you can even desalinize the water. You can even, for example, distill the water because free energy, right? So my point is, land. We live on a tiny piece of land, which is a tiny blue dot in our own solar system.
In billions of universes and
And,
galaxies.
billions of galaxies and the billions of universe, right? So where is that scarcity? It's simply in our mind because we believe
Yeah.
those things are not possible.
There are actually planets, entire planets that are diamond.
There you go.
So that's a great example.
So my point is, the abundance mindset comes from the belief system, believing in the possibility that everything is doable, everything is possible, and you alone can actually be the catalyst for making it happen. So the day you believe that you are not able to do something because you believe it is impossible, it becomes impossible for you and not for someone else, right? So if you want to create a mindset, all you have to do is believe that, believe in the possibilities.
It seems like it's just getting rid of those limitations. So it's not so much about building an abundance mindset, it's about removing the filters and the limitations that we've put on ourselves or have put on ourselves or that we've just somehow absorbed and believed in. It seems like that's like our natural state, is to be abundant.
You're probably right. Naturally, we are abundant, but I think over time, the society has created this filter or this layer of conditioned mind, and that conditioned mind, it tells us everything is scarce. You need to hoard everything. These things have value. And once you get rid of all these things, maybe naturally we are abundant, right? If you look at the child when the child is born, it is nothing but comes with an abundant mindset. It loves everyone. It does not know anything different. Over time, it becomes, this is my toy, this is your toy.
Yes.
Right? In the beginning, those conditioned mind does not know that. So the best way to create the abundant mindset would be to look at the world what it can be, not what the world is. And the day you start to think about the possibilities and believing that you can create the world that you imagine, you become the abundant mindset.
Wow. This has been an incredible episode. Thank you so much for Naveen for having me. It's an honor always to be your guest and to be your host. Co-host, guest. Stumbling over words today. This is me. It's all those wonderful handles in those great names. At least it's not Malala this time.
Well, thank you, Mandy. These are all wonderful people, and I'm so glad you're listening to our episode, because please keep sending us the question, because I would love to answer the things that are on your mind. So please continue sending us the question, share this episode, and have other people ask the question. Thank you.
Probably have chocolate on my teeth. Just got done.
That's good.
Make people jealous.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
So this is
Brown stuff on my teeth will definitely make people jealous. I'm sure that's what they'll be thinking. Wow, I wish I had that.
The milk chocolate. That was good.
They'll be like, you're a little too into Viome. Got into their samples. Brown
Oh,
stuff
that-
all over my teeth.
it's the wrong kind of sample, Mandy.